Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we have a deck list that kind of came from the Discord. It came from one of our users, Phelan Ranger. They played against this deck on DCGO, and I've been tinkering it with it since they posted it. So if you want to stay up to date with the coolest deck profiles that our little community finds, think about joining the Discord. But what we have is a mill engine that we're going to use to just plop down Gallantmons and then go ham with level 7s. It's really cool. It's really fun. Pretty consistently, you get beat down to about 1 or 2 security, and then the trash is full enough to hit the go button. But I'd love to see what you guys think about this deck profile in the comments down below after the video. So, starting with our eggs, 4 copies of the promo Gigimon. On deletion, you may return a card with Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name from your trash to the hand. We need this because we have no way to grab back Gallantmons aside from this Gigimon promo or the Black Growlmon. This is a more consistent way to get those pieces back, and I feel like we already mill fast enough with the pieces in this deck that we don't have to go 4x on the Pagumon eggs. Speaking of Pagumon, 1 copy of ST6 Pagumon on deletion trash top 2. Good way to get mill 7 off of the Impmon. We have 4 copies of BT2 Impmon on deletion trash the top 3 cards of your deck, so ideally we're going to be swinging this in, milling 3, and then potentially being able to grab back a Growlmon or Gallantmon. We are also going to run the 1 copy of the EX2 Impmon. If it gets milled, we get to trash 3 extra cards from the top of our deck. That's going to be great because it turns this potential mill 3 into a mill 6. The Inherit will never come up, and the Outplay will never come up. We are also going to run 4 copies of Ukkomon. When we promote it, we can search top 3 and get a piece of our choice, hopefully something that we'll be able to hard play. This does bottom deck our options, so we have to be careful with that because a lot of our gas is just milling out with options. We can also grab a Tamer, which we do have 1 that we are running in this deck to help us find our pieces a little bit more efficiently. Moving on to the plethora of level 6s here. 2 copies of Medieval Gallant. This is just our answer. If the opponent's board gets really wide, we suspend down 2 bodies, play this out, and it's going to start punishing the opponent when we're hard playing our level 6s, or allows us to vortex over things as long as we have bodies on the board. We're going to run 4 copies of BT13 Gallantmon. When you play this card from the hand, if you have no Digimon, reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 cards in both players' trashes. That's why we're milling. It has Rush, and then on play, when Digivolve and when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 6k or less. If nothing is deleted, you delete something with 13k or more. So it's going to delete a wide range of targets, and we're going to hopefully be plopping this down for, it gets pretty quickly 5 or less, and eventually you'll be plopping it down for pretty close to free. We're going to run 3 copies of the BT7 AvengeKidmon. When playing this card from the hand, reduce the cost by 1 for each option card in you and your opponent's trashes. This gets cheap really fast because we do like to mill with options primarily. On play, return all cards of 3 Musketeers in their traits and all option cards from both players' trashes at the bottom of their owner's decks. If 7 or more cards were returned using this effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with Musketeer in his traits or 8k DP or less. We're basically using this to stop the deck out and put options back in our deck, and it also does hit an 8k or less target almost all the time. It is a cheap body for our level 7s to go on as well. We're going to run 3 copies of the Gallantmon X. We have so many Gallantmons in this deck that we might as well run it. When Digivolving and when attacking, if Gallantmon or X-antibody is in this card's sources until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon gets 4k DP, and one of their Digimon gets minus 4k. When Digivolving and end of attack, once per turn, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 10k or less. If this did not delete, you're going to trash their top security and this Digimon on suspends. All turns while you have 0 or less memory, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's Digimon's effects. This card is really, really brutal in this deck. You are more often than not going to plop down a Gallantmon, rush, swing with it. You're going to plop down this Gallantmon X. You're probably going to get to unsuspend with it, trash their security, and then you just have a big boss monster sitting on the board that they're forced to respond to, and then you get your choice of how you want to answer them responding to it. You have Crimson Mode Ace, you have Medieval Gallantmon, and you have all these other on-play level 6s that you get to clap back with once they actually do deal with this. We are going to run 4 copies of the new promo Gallantmon. This is another huge enabler for this strategy of just plopping down level 6s because we have another level 6 that has cost reduction on it. So when this card would be played, if there's a Digimon with 13k or more, reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 total cards in both players' trashes. It has Rush, it has Blocker, and on play when Digivolving, you delete 1 Digimon with 13k or more. If this effect didn't delete, recover 1. Important note about this card, but also really cool note about this card is forced to delete a 13k or more. So if you have our BT13 Gallantmon, you must delete it when you play this card. If there's no other valid target. If you have the Gallantmon X that is DP boosted, then you're going to have to delete this to play this card. Something really interesting that came up in testing is that you can play this. Sometimes you play this for like 3-0, whatever you play it for. You get your swing in, you play the Gallantmon X, you get to trash the security and unsuspend. You can then play this Gallantmon, which will probably be similarly cheap to the BT13. I don't actually know. I think it's the same rate. Yes, it is the same rate. So you plop this down for cheap as well. You can then delete your Gallantmon X, and you get a free check with the Rush on this card as well. So you can actually just keep milking checks out of this, not necessarily a loop, but the sequence of Gallantmon into Gallantmon X into Gallantmon promo. That materializes 3 checks right there as long as they have hit that point where you can play these cards for reduced cost. Moving on to level 7s, 4 copies of the BT17 Gallantmon Crimson Mode Ace. all these Gallantmons, all this trash being filled, this is going to be a lethal target. If one ever hits the board and sticks, you're going to be closing the game really fast. We just talked about how it is possible to get 3 damage off just with the Gallantmon into Gallantmon X into promo Gallantmon sequence. If you have enough cards to make those cheap, you're probably going to be trashing 2 off of this checking 1, and that is game, set, and match right there. So if they swing into this promo Gallantmon, you just blast ace, and on your turn, you are threatening the game. Really, really, really lethal combo. I cannot stress it enough. We are also running 2 copies of the BT10 Jesmon GX. When Digivolving, you can place a card with the Royal Knights in its traits and a play cost of 13 or less from your hand, or trash under this Digimon as its bottom source. Activate its when Digivolving effect as an effect of this Digimon, then you get to Blitz. And all turns while you have Royal Knight in your traits, you get Piercing, Blocker, Sec +1. The Blocker comes up clutch because, like I said, a lot of the time you wind up getting chipped down really low before this deck comes online. You can tuck this Gallantmon X-antibody and get a lot of work done by trashing security and then swinging your boosted checks. You can put this in. You can pop something 13k or higher. Potentially, you can be recovering 1 if there is nothing 13k or higher with the Jesmon GX. So I feel like it gives a lot of flexibility in this deck. The version that was originally posted had Omnimon X in the slot. I didn't like having to run X-antibody because a lot of the times I milled it over, didn't have a way to grab it. And then the Omnimon X was a little bit worse than it would be if I had the card in hand. So Jesmon GX was my adaptation, and I find that it works a lot better, just in my opinion, than the Omnimon X. Moving on to our options, the Mill Suite. We have 3 copies of Darkwing's Delusion, 1 cost, trash top 3, second half of the effect never happens. Miss Memory Boost, we're going to trash 2, draw 1. It gives the delay effect of gaining 2 memory. That's going to be important for springing on some plays where your on plays might not actually be as cheap as you want them to be. We're going to have 4 copies of Death Slinger. This is more gas in the tank. When it gets milled, you gain a memory. When this is insecurity, sometimes it gets really nasty, really fast, popping up to level 6 as soon as you have 20 cards in trash, and that 20 cards will come very quickly. We're going to run 4 copies of Darkness Wave, trashes top 3. If you have a yellow Digimon in play, you return a yellow or purple Digimon card from your trash to the hand. So if you actually have the promo Gallantmon in play, or the Gallantmon X, you can return a yellow or purple Digimon from trash to the hand, which if you remember what we talked about with that Gallantmon X into promo Gallantmon combo, if this is sitting on board and the promo Gallantmon's in trash, you pop a Darkness Wave, you get this back. Now you can potentially be popping your Gallantmon X to get the promo Gallantmon on board, and maybe that wins you the game if it's cheap enough that that can swing in for game. So very, very great card in this package. We have 3 copies of the BT18 Violent Inboots. This is our memory setter of choice. If you have 2 or less memory, you set it to 3, and then by trashing an option card or a card with Ghost or 3 Musketeers trait in your hand, you get to draw 1. This is kind of filtering if we don't quite need to focus, or if we draw into the Death Slinger and it's not a live card yet, we can pitch it away, draw a card, and hopefully hit something a little bit better. And then we are going to run 3 copies of the EX1 Analog Youth on play, reveal top 3, add a Digimon among them to your hand, trash the rest. We do have to be careful with this, just like with the Ukkomons. This gets rid of our options, but it does add a Digimon to your hand, which can be really important if you don't actually have a target to play, or if you're bricked on a rookie. And then if a level 5 or higher is popped with sources, you can suspend this tamer, you gain a memory, you hatch a Digi-Egg. That really only comes up with our level 7s, because our level 6s are going to be played with no sources underneath. It can come up with the Gallantmon X, but in a perfect world, your opponent shouldn't be deleting the Gallantmon X, although it does come up when you do that funny little play of popping your own Gallantmon X for the promo Gallantmon. Then you just get to hatch an egg and gain a memory, and it's just kind of extra gas in the tank. So lots of cool little synergies in this deck. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Have you tried this engine? Are you doing anything with Mill with these new promos with cost reduction effects? That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, Coffee Deus, and DigiDane who make videos like this possible.